Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. We're not going to leave the 28 gauge out of this full TSS party. So today we're going to do an 1 5/8 straight TSS in a 28 gauge in a Cheddite hole. So this is obviously intended to be a turkey load. There's a few, I'll call them boutique manufacturers that will offer up 1 5/8 ounce of TSS in the 28 gauge. I'm not even really sure what, Federal, Winchester, Remington, any of the other name brands. I'm not sure what the weight is. Maybe 1.5 ounces. I'd say it's probably all more like 1.5 ounces. But anyway, 1 5/8 ounces. That's what I came up with. I figured go big or go home, right? Actually, it's just what fits in this hole without spacers, with the powder that I have come up to use. So it's under pressure. I mean, obviously, or I wouldn't be putting it out there. Not a ton of room to work with in a Cheddite hole, but if you want to develop a little bit more yourself and send some of this stuff in, using my data as a data point, you're welcome to do that, because there is a little bit of room to play with if you're trying to get a little bit more velocity. I didn't mess with this in a Fiocchi hole because, well, for some reason, I think a Cheddite hole is more available. I don't know why I think that, but because I have more Fiocchis than I have Cheddites. But it just seems like there's more Cheddite holes available out there. You can buy them new, primed. You can, well, matter of fact, I just got a bunch here. Keeman holes, that's a Cheddite hole. Kent Bismuth, if you've got any of those left over, that's a Cheddite hole. Cleaver Mirage, you'll find these at a lot of gun clubs. And some of your local stores will have these. When I say local, I'm talking about your mom and pop gun shops will have those. Boss Ammunition, Cheddite hole. What is this? Noble Sport, Cheddite hole. The one that I'm going to be loading today is the Monarch from Academy, Cheddite hole. So there's a lot of manufacturers, and I think even maybe Aguila, however you pronounce that. I think that's a Cheddite type hole, or the data substitutes. But anyway, I also want to mention this too. So this data is, and all the data that I put out there that you're going to get, it's specific to the hole that's in that data. I've gotten a couple of emails from folks that said, hey man, I'm trying to load this load in a Cheddite hole and it doesn't fit. So I reference back to what they've ordered or what they're trying to load, and it would be, say, the 1/2 ounce TSS 1/2 ounce steel duplex. Well, that's developed for a Fiocchi hole, a new generation Fiocchi hole. It won't fit in a Cheddite hole. So if you run into those kind of issues, that sometimes that's why when you run into fitment, is because we're trying to put, well, 5 pounds of sand in a 3-pound bag, or whatever that saying is. So anyway, let me get you on this side of the bench. We'll look at the components, put a couple of these together. I've got a pattern. I just shot one pattern. It's out of a True Lot Federal TSS Super Full Choke. For my intentions, I mean, and to show you guys, I think that's kind of all we need to see at 40 yards. It's pretty impressive to me. So get you over here, put this thing together. I'll show you the pattern, and then we'll wrap it up as usual. All right, folks. So the components for this, we've got a Cheddite hull, right? Cheddite hull, Cheddite primers. So we got our primers here. Powder, won't get into that. It's listed in the data. We're using TPS wads, right? It's just straight TPS, 28 gauge wads. And then of course, TSS. Now, I'm using 8.5 in this load, and 8.5 is what you're going to see on the patterns too. So 8.5 TSS, getting super low on TSS. Now, again, for YouTube purposes, this starting hull, it's been primed. There is a powder charge already in it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a wad in here, and the TPS wads, it's almost like you don't need a machine half the time for these. The wad just fits right in there. You push him down. And this is probably one of the big reasons why I'm doing 1 ounce and 5/8. It's because I don't have to trim the wad. I don't have to put a spacer. It's just straight wad, shot, crimp, we're done, right? So 1 ounce and 5/8 is 710 grains. 710 grains is a lot of TSS. There we go, 710.8. So that's going to be 1 ounce and 5/8. And you know, if you've never loaded this stuff, you're like, man, there's no way that's going to fit. Well, boys and girls, trust me, it fits with room to spare. You actually could probably put another 1/16 of an ounce in there, but at that point, it's just overkill. Now, I don't have my other camera today for the close-up on this shot, but as usual, we're going to line up that super crimper on a detent. We don't want to go real deep on this crimp. Slide him over and close him up. And there you go. You got yourself a nice flat. And now listen, there's no rattle, right? So that's a nice good load. Got a nice little taper so it'll fit in your semi-auto pump guns. So let's put another one together. Again, that TPS wad, it just slides right in there. Now, you can load this with number 9s. I think that's probably going to be more popular. You could load it with number 10s. I just dropped $3 worth of TSS on my bench. I'm also looking for a way to drop this TSS. As a matter of fact, any of this heavier than lead shot went a little overboard with different alternative methods. So 710.6, perfect. We drop it in there. Bob's your uncle, just like that, right? Line him up, give him a little spin. There you go. Nice, good looking, you know, round. So, yeah, you could shoot 9s, 10s. Looking online, there's a couple of people that offer this. I think Salt Creek, Rogue. I'm not sure of all of them. I don't want to start naming a bunch of them because I don't know a ton of them. But they offer 1 ounce and 5/8. Oh, muzzle velocity of this is around 1066. So we're right there with, you know, all the other guys that are loading this type of round. .3, perfect. So yeah, this is going to do the trick. And there you go. So there's 3 rounds we've knocked out in a matter of just, well, 3 minutes basically. So let's go take a look at the pattern. Like I said, I don't have the footage of me shooting it. You just got to trust me. This was 40 yards. So let's go. All right. So this is 1 ounce and 5/8 of number 8.5 TSS shot at 40 yards. This was shot with a Benelli Super Black Eagle, which a lot of my patterning is done with that. With a True Lock. It's branded as a Federal TSS choke. It's a super full choke. I may show you the specs when we go back and close up here. In this load, there should be about 485 to 488 pellets in the whole entire load. There's 464 on this paper. I don't know how many are in the center. I don't know how many are. So this is a 10-inch circle. That's a 20-inch circle. There's a bunch of them in there, and there's very few out here, right? So let's get our buddy Bucksnort out, and let's see what Bucksnort says. So at 40 yards, I think Bucksnort has a very bad problem. Matter of fact, if this was one of those color changing targets, I think the whole thing would be yellow or orange or whatever. I'm colorblind, so, but yeah, even outside of that 10-inch circle, I mean, he's wrecked. But if you get him inside the 10-inch circle, I mean, I really don't, you know, to me, that's a tremendous pattern. But there's some folks that may look at that and say, oh man, that's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure, again, you can tune this with chokes or whatever. But like I said in the 410 videos, you put him anywhere in here, he's going for a ride in the side-by-side. So I think that's a pretty good result, right? So let's go back and finish this up. All right, what y'all think about that pattern? I mean, to me, it looks pretty good, right? Also, to know that you've got the data out there now. Again, bullet225ho.com. It'll probably be in the description below. And I may even put a blurb on the screen or whatever. I had some folks that said, man, where do I go? I couldn't understand what you said, but it's bullet225ho.com. That's where the data is available. 1 5/8. I mean, that's pretty heavy for gauge, you know, for a 28 gauge, but it just fits in there. And, you know, when it gets to a cost, when you start figuring up the cost of this stuff, if you're going to do 1.5 ounces and you've got that much money into it, you may as well go ahead and you know, and put another 1/8 in there so it just fits right. Because if you try to do 1.5 ounces without spacers, you're going to have to do a couple of things. You're going to have to either do a roll crimp with an overshot card, which that may be way some of these things are put together. I don't know, right? Even some of the 1 ounce and 5/8 that are out there from other folks, they may be roll crimping those. I don't know. But I like a fold crimp. And let me talk about that real quick. I know this doesn't have anything to do with the 28 gauge itself, but fold crimp versus roll crimps. Look, guys and gals, I have roll crimped a plenty of loads, developing loads. And I know that it's a lot easier to put those loads together, but I almost feel like I'm doing people a favor by doing fold crimps, because unless I have just I don't know, lost myself and I have, not a brain to me, I cannot find a way to get a roll crimped hull back into a shape where it needs to be loaded again without some crazy efforts with curling irons and drills and heat. And look, my time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. And it just, I don't know. I just refuse to put that much effort into bringing a hull back to life that I can reload again. Now, if it's one and done hulls, and you're not even going to look for them if you're on a dove hunt or whatever kind of hunt, turkey hunt, I don't know, and you've got a roll crimper, and that's what you want to load. I mean, that's fine. But I guess what I'm getting at is the reason I don't do roll crimps is because that, to me, that hull's done, right? Now, if you want to take the data that I have, you can most definitely roll crimp it. You probably need to send it off for testing because the velocity is probably going to be down and the pressure is going to be down, which is actually good for pressure because you won't be over pressure. So it's just that we don't know where it's at because I don't have anything tested to Sammy specs that is roll crimped, right? So I don't know, I kind of got off a tangent on roll crimping because I've had a couple of emails that says, can I roll crimp this? Can I roll crimp that? You can. It's going to be different. It's going to shoot different. It'll feel a little bit different, but you can do it. My recommendation, if you do it, you probably need to send it off and have it tested. I may get into some roll crimp stuff in the future just for the people that want to get into reloading for dirt cheap. As a matter of fact, that's probably the only reason I would do it is just because, if you're going to reload, your major expense is in your shot and your loader, right? And trust me, I know that because I'm sitting here looking at like a herd of Mech 600 and 9000s to my right. So I know the expense that you can get into, and I know how cheap, a roll crimper is. Matter of fact, I don't have to reach real far, and guess what? roll crimp, roll crimp, gate tools. Trust me, there's money thrown at this stuff. I just don't feel like somebody who's shooting over and over and over that the roll crimp at this point needs to be discussed. If you want data on roll crimps, if I get enough requests for it, maybe I'll come up with some and send off for testing. I just hate ruining those hulls. Even for let me give you an example. To develop this load right here that we're putting together today, I went through, I think, 5 different series of shots with 5 shots in those series, So that's 25 shots. And if I did that with roll crimps, in my eyes, that would have been 25 hulls, basically a box of hulls that's gone. Because when you shoot those things, the ends of them get so messed up, and the heat and the way they curl up, it's very difficult for me to get them back into a shape where I can put them back together and reload them. Slugs is one of the things that I despise. I've got a 3/4 ounce slug that requires to be roll crimped. I've got tested data for it. I just haven't put it out there because, the data is out there, but I haven't done any videos on it because, I don't know, the hulls just get chewed up. Maybe I just need to change my way I think about that. Man, what a rant that was. Sorry, guys. Anyway, 1 5/8 ounce TSS. There's no questions, in this video. Hey, can this thing kill a turkey? Yes, it is going to be deadly. Lot of people are using number 9 TSS. So if you have number 9 TSS available, that would be great. 10s will work. Matter of fact, I've gotten a bunch of emails that says, hey, number 10 TSS will kill turkeys 50 yards plus. Whew. I don't know about that. I would probably stay around 40, 45 yards with number 10s, but I know number 9s, people are touting 50 plus yard kills. Matter of fact, I think there's even a bunch of them on video where people are killing turkeys out in fields over 50 yards. 8.5 TSS, which is what this load was. You don't even want to know what the KPI data is on this at 1,060 feet per second. Matter of fact, that's the feet per second of this load. I don't even know if I mentioned that. It's 1,000. I think it ended up being 1,060 feet per second muzzle velocity, 1036 or something at a 6-foot screen or a 3-foot screen. Then you back calculate for muzzle velocity, but it's right there with the other folks. Maybe just a touch faster. There's a little tiny bit of pressure, about 500 pounds to work with if you're wanting to develop off this load. So you can definitely do that too. Other than that, don't really have a whole lot more to say about the 28 gauge straight 1 5/8 ounce TSS, other than this thing's gonna smash a bunch of turkeys, I promise you. Coming down the line, I have, then let me tell you something. I've got 1.25 ounces of HW15 in 28 gauge. Whew. I think it's going to be one of the most versatile loads that we've ever seen for 28 gauge. It's crazy what this stuff is doing with open chokes, with super tight chokes. I think it's going to blow you away. And then also, I've got HW15 11/16 ounce and 410. If you guys have been to my website, you see this data, but I haven't done videos on it. But anyway, let me get out of here. I hate to take up a bunch of time rambling, which I know I do. But thank y'all for watching. We will see you hopefully next week with another video, maybe another load, or I may do a what's in the box. I've rearranged, I got me a new shelf back here. So I've got a bunch of stuff back there that I need to do videos on too. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button and then click that bell so it'll notify you when we post a video. So all right, see you later.